Hello there, I'm Sam. I'm posting on behalf of the YA room for the LoveOzYA December month. Today I'm just going to be recommending you some LoveOzYA book recommendations. That was very redundant. So the first recommendation is actually an author, and that is Megan Jacobson, which will come to no surprise to anyone. So Megan's debut was released last year, and that is Yellow. Yellow follows a girl called Kira whose life is sort of broken. Her dad left her friends are kind of her bullies, and just life's not very great at the moment. So one day she's just, hanging out, and a disused phone booth starts ringing. On the other line is a ghost, and the ghost makes a pact with Kira, so Kira will avenge his murderer, and in turn he will make her popular, bring her family back together, and not haunt her. But Kira soon finds out that you can be haunted in many more ways than one. I love this book so much. It's one of my favorite books of all time, as well as one of my favorite books of last year. The cover's stunning, the words are stunning, the author, I'm holding that backwards, the author is great as well. I highly recommend you check out Yellow. Her second book that was released this year is The Build-Up Season. I'm not really going to get into the synopsis too much because I feel like it's one of those books that you shouldn't really know much about before getting into it. It essentially explores Iliad's life, and it takes place in Darwin, and it just really is very immersive and atmospheric, if that's a word. I will say there is a trigger warning for abusive relationships and domestic violence. If you're triggered by that or not comfortable with that, I would recommend you not read this book, but I really enjoyed it, and I hope that some of you guys will read it and enjoy it too. I really love both of the characters and both of the plot and both of the writing. I mean, it's the same author, so the writing's pretty similar. I love Iliad, even though technically she's not likable, and I hate that because YA female characters get such a rap for not being likable, and I just hate that. But she's traditionally not likable, but I did like her. And I also commend Megan for going to some darker themes. She touches on bullying and alcoholism, and The Build-Up Season sort of goes into abusive relationships and domestic violence. The next recommendation I have is Frankie by Siobhan Boza. Frankie is just a very angry girl. She breaks someone's nose by hitting them in the face with a collection of Shakespeare's sonnets? Shakespeare's plays? I don't know, I can't remember. Basically, she's just little angry, and then one day someone knocks on her door and says that he is her half-brother, so from that she sort of goes to investigate her family and her half-brother and stuff like that. I really enjoyed this book so much. I just love Frankie as a character. The author is super lovely. I love her book, and I recently read Tin Heart, which is being released in March of 2018, so you can't read that yet, but I really love Frankie. I feel like all of these books, especially the ones I just said and the ones to come, they just really grip you and you can't put the book down. So I'm going to take a break from contemporaries, and I'm going to recommend Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This is a high fantasy, and it's set in this world where there are 3 suns, and they practically never set. They all set once every 3 years, hence.
So it's never the night.
And so basically it follows a girl called Mia Corvia who comes from nobility. Her father is executed for treason, and Mia makes it a mission to murder everyone who had a hand in her father's murder. So she travels to the Red Church, which is a school for assassins, and there she learns how to be an assassin. I really love this book. I love Mia, she's so snarky, and I love Mr. Kindly so much. And the second book, God's Grave, just gets so much better, and I really highly recommend this. The next book I have to recommend is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. This essentially follows 3 friends who travel from Melbourne to America for a convention. It's like VidCon, but I don't think she can say VidCon in a book. And it just follows their adventures there and the romance that ensues, and I really enjoyed this. It was so light and fluffy, and it's probably the lightest one of these books. I feel like most of the contemporaries of LoveOzYA really delve into some darker topics that others don't really go into. I enjoyed this. It was a nice little fresh of cloud. What? Breath of air? Breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air. It was just nice, and I'm moving on. The next book I have to recommend is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I feel like everyone knows what this is about, so I'm not really gonna delve too much into it, and it's also one of those books that I feel like you shouldn't really know too much about before going in. It just basically follows a girl in World War II, and it's really interesting because it's told from the perspective of death, and that's just something I've never read before. So I really enjoyed this. There's also a movie of it, which is, I feel pretty accurate and pretty good. I actually watched the movie before I read the book. Oh my god, what a scandal. The next book I have to recommend is A Shadow's Breath by Nicole Hayes. This book follows a couple who are in a car crash, and it switches between perspectives of then and now. So then is her at school, and then now is the car crash. Yet again, this one delves into some pretty heavy stuff because they're in a car crash. That's like not easy to read, and it can be quite confronting at times, but not so much that you like stop reading. I did highly enjoy this. It's one of my favorite out of the bunch, but it probably falls under Mika Jacobson. And the last book I had to recommend is basically Fleur Ferris in general, but specifically Black. I've only read Black, so I can only recommend Black, but she's an author who writes YA thrillers, and Black sort of follows a girl called Black, but her real name's Ebony, and people call her Black because they believe that she is cursed. So then it like follows her sort of like not coming to terms, but discovering why she's cursed. And yeah, so I haven't read many thrillers, let alone YA thrillers. This might even be the only YA thriller I've read, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to picking up her other books, which are Risk and Wreck. Both of them are YA thrillers again. That's all for my recommendation. I really hope you read some of these, especially my favourites. So I guess that's all for today's video. So thank you so much to the lovely girls Sarah and Alex from the YA room for letting me post and fuel the fire for the December LoveOzYA month. Thank you so much, girls. Thank you for watching, and bye!